Welcome to Gabbit Media, and in today's session we're looking at the complexities of film sound. Whether noticed or not, sound is a powerful film technique. Sound in film can actively shape how we perceive and interpret the image. The first thing to look at is rhythm. Rhythm involves a beat or a pulse, a pace or a tempo. It's most recognizable in music, and it's important to match the pace of the music to the scene for the right effect. In this clip from Jaws, we see the shark approaching and the tempo of the music slowly builds with the tension. Music is one aspect of rhythm, but speech also has a rhythm as well. Have you ever heard a scene where someone's voice seems completely encapsulating?
3 minutes till the biggest battle of our professional lives.
In this clip from Any Given Sunday, we see such a speech. It has a well-placed rhythm that holds the viewer's attention.
We heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light.
Sound effects also have distinct rhythmic qualities. So in this clip from Predator, the minigun has a regular rapid beat. Many films vary their rhythms from one point to another. A change of rhythm may function to change expectations. The next thing to look at is fidelity. Fidelity is the extent to which sound is faithful to the source as we see it. So if a film shows a gun firing, we expect to hear the sound of a gun firing.
Stuck on this.
Fidelity is purely a matter of expectation. Now, if there's a disparity between the image and the sound, there is a lack of fidelity, and a lack of fidelity can mean the viewer is taken out of the scene or disorientated. Comedy sometimes makes a use of lack of fidelity. In these old clips from Charlie Brown, the teachers always had a weird, unexpected sound, which cleverly puts the audience into the young character's mind. Normally we'd expect to hear a teacher's voice, perhaps quietly in the background, but this murmuring, mumbling sound is very unexpected and therefore has a lack of fidelity. To look at is time or timing. The matching of sound with images creates synchronous sound, so we hear the sound at the same time as we see the source produce the sound. Dialogue between the characters is normally synchronized so that the lips of the characters move at the same time that we hear the appropriate words.
I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody that much.
However, asynchronous sounds is when images and sounds are out of sync. In this scene from Hitchcock's 39 Steps, we see an example of asynchronous sound. As a woman discovers a dead body, we hear the sound of a train instead of her scream. It's a cleverly matched asynchronous sound that works as the scream and the train sound are similar in pitch. There are other examples of asynchronous sound, such as Spider-Man.
No, wait, sir. You don't want to do this.
The next thing to look at is diegetic and non-diegetic sound. If the sound is a character or object in the story space of the film, it is diegetic. So let's look again at this Jaws clip. You can see diegetic sounds such as the waves, the person shouting, the child playing with the sand, and so on. All these things we expect to hear coming from the scene. However, when we move to the shark's point of view, we get non-diegetic sound in the form of music. So non-diegetic sound comes from a source that's outside the narrative space. So maybe a voiceover narration or a music score. It can be a bit confusing at times, such as this scene from Guardians of the Galaxy. The diegetic sound kind of becomes non-diegetic sound. Next, we have volume. Alterations in volume can also have a dramatic impact on the scene. It's not simply the volume itself, but the change in volume that's important. In this scene from Psycho, we can see the change in sound having a major impact on the feeling of the scene. So it's often a good idea to have a period of quiet to give more impact to louder elements within the scene.
Foley is a craft that goes way back in the vaudeville days. It was invented by a guy named Jack Foley. When they shoot a film, you just have the production and the dialogue, so they're concentrating on the dialogue, so all the sounds throughout the film are lost. So what we do is we go back and recreate those sounds for drama, intensity, make it scary, more intense, or the detail in the film. I saw Foley when I was 16 years old, and I wanted to do that for my career. One of the first films that I apprenticed on was Empire Strikes Back. That one was a landmark for me because that got me motivated to do Foley. So I'm just checking this out, and these are these patented horse hoof things here. And then I'll punch for that grass, nurses. Okay. Keep going, keep going. And he goes by camera. Cool. Okay. Okay, so I just laid down the horse footsteps, and now I'm going to lay down the track of the bridle to go with the feet. Okay. And we're gonna shoot. You're gonna hear it. It won't sound like that, but check out the screen.
Keep rolling a full playback with this is horse, bridle, and Hecker horse snorts.
We have to cover the film. First, we do all the footsteps of the main characters, whatever lead actors in the film, and then we do the background footsteps. Then we go through a prop pass, and that's all. Anything that's moving on the screen, pretty much we provide a sound for. It's like a big canvas of sound, and we paint different colors and textures and brush strokes. And when you put all those brush strokes and colors together, then you have a full canvas of sound. Foley is a craft, and a lot of people try it and they fail at it because you just have to have certain qualities that are really hard. It's an art form. You have to have, like I said, the timing and a huge creative mind, because like I say, you're thrown in this room, and you got to come up with this stuff. So I have to use the props that I have that I've acquired over the years. It's all organized on the stage. I have different sections of different props, and there's a closet in the back as well. It got shoes and chains, swords, guns, buttons, gadgets, cameras, just anything that you can imagine. Okay, I know this looks like basically it's a green can. And you're probably thinking, how do you get to the weight and all that? But right now, Nurses is going to give me through the audio gear that's going to pitch this down in a lot of octaves, really heavy, real heavy, Nurses. And it's Nurses Gazillion back there. Anyway, and also they obviously have sound effects as well, but this is just a small piece just to demonstrate. Just putting this metal flavors, just one by one, we build these elements. Hundreds of sounds for a scene like this, and these are like little paint brush strokes. This is just because the car's coming off a metal ramp. This is just giving you a metallic, ringy metal ramp sound. If it's Spider-Man or it's Arnold Schwarzenegger or whoever it is, whatever that actor is portraying, if he's sneaking, stealthing, or walking big, or he's kicking down a door or whatever, you have to put that energy. That's the main thing in Foley, is that there's a performance, and that's what I try to do when I'm doing Foley.
Does this scream sound familiar? That's because it's used in over 100 films. It's a movie trope called the Wilhelm scream.
The Wilhelm scream is maybe the most famous sound effect in Hollywood that is used when characters are shot or fall off high places in action films.
The scream made its first appearance in a 1951 film called Distant Drums.
And there's a moment in the film where a character is dragged into the swamp and they wanted a particularly blood-curdling scream.
Now, this was just one of many different screams in the film.
To make a film, you need a sound effects library, a collection of sound effects. And you're going to use them in different parts of the film. Maybe in one part of your action film, you need a 2-second scream, but in another part of your film, you might need a 1.5-second blood-curdling scream.
Producers had cast members record a variety of different screams, but there was one man's scream in particular that stood out among the rest.
It's usually credited now to Sheb Wooley, who was a kind of a Western-style character actor and a novelty singer who appears in Distant Drums.
But its first appearance in 1951 wasn't the scream's shining moment. That happened when it was used again in the 1953 film The Charge at Feather River. A character named Private Wilhelm was shot in the leg with an arrow.
And that's how it got named the Wilhelm scream.
Wilhelm! Yeah, I'll just fill my pipe.
Since then, the sound has been used in more than 100 films. Why? Well, for one, it's cheaper and easier to reuse pre-existing sound effects.
You have to give credit to Ben Burtt, the wonderful sound designer who's been working on the biggest films in Hollywood since the 1970s, close associate of George Lucas. He's the one who really discovered the Wilhelm scream and researched out its origins.
Burtt used the scream in a memorable moment in Star Wars.
When Luke Skywalker fires at a stormtrooper.
The scream actually appears in all of the original Star Wars films.
And then it became an in-joke.
The scream then spread to many other famous films.
Steven Spielberg picked up on it and used it in many, many of his films. And then it just went crazy. Of course, Peter Jackson uses it in The Lord of the Rings. It even shows up in Toy Story and Reservoir Dogs.
The sound is now famous among film buffs.
I think you can go on YouTube and see compilations of dozens of Wilhelm screams. I mean, it has its own Wikipedia entry. And so for people that love movies, this is part of their enjoyment of it, is finding this little insider detail.